Did you guys know that the old-time strongmen used to call the wall sit Samson's seat? That is such an epic name. So to commemorate the exercise, we're gonna have Chris on the left-hand side of this video suffer in silence while we talk about the wall sit in more detail. Let's get into it. But before we get started, I want to say thank you so much to our No Limit Squad patrons for deciding to support the channel for as little as $1 a month. Now with that, let's get into it. The wall sit exercise is a static lower body workout that effectively engages and strengthens several major muscle groups. To perform a wall sit, start by standing with your back against a flat wall and your feet positioned about hip width apart, a comfortable distance from the wall. Slowly slide your back down the wall while bending your knees, creating a seated position. Your thighs should ideally become parallel to the ground, forming a 90-degree angle at the knees, and your back should remain firmly against the wall. Ensure your knees are directly above your ankles and not extending beyond them. Hold this position for whatever time you'd like. Typically, it ranges from 20 to 60 seconds or until your muscles hit failure or fatigue. The primary musculature for the wall sit involved the quadriceps femoris group, prominently the rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus intermedius, and vastus medialis. These muscles work cohesively to affect knee extension and pivotal action in movements like walking, running, and jumping. The hamstrings, situated at the posterior thigh, are recruited eccentrically to stabilize the knee joint during the wall sit, which is going to ensure optimal biomechanical alignment. Lastly, the gluteus maximus is activated, upholding a role of stabilizing the hip joint and synergistically contributing to the isometric nature of the exercise. Through this cohesive effort of the quads, hams, and glutes, an isometric contraction is going to emerge, leading to adaptive neuromuscular responses and an augmentation in muscle density. Now, it's important to address the elephant in the room. There's only really two ways to progress our wall sits. We have time, more time under tension, or we have load. With load, we can add things like weighted vests, dumbbells, or plates to our laps, and then just try and hold that same duration, or you can just increase the time and the load. But before we get into that, let's just see how Chris is doing with your wall sit. Bro, how are you doing, man?
God damn, it's not even my legs, my lower backs, I'm sore.
Yeah, something told me he was gonna use that excuse, guys, but you know what? He tried. Okay, on to holding the load for time. Incrementally increasing the duration of a wall sit exercise across multiple sessions is fantastic for progressive overload. Progressive overload is the name of the game. As the isometric contraction endures, time under tension is going to ensue, which is going to trigger neuromuscular system to adapt and recruit a greater amount of motor units within the active musculature. This heightened recruitment is going to foster neuromuscular facilitation and motor unit synchronization, which is going to ultimately promote force production capabilities with the muscle, releasing signaling molecules like IGF-1 and myostatin. AKA, this is absolutely amazing for myofibrillar hypertrophy. And if you're not familiar with myofibrillar hypertrophy, here's a link right here. Go ahead and check that video out. It is absolutely fantastic. A hypertrophic response typified by an increase in cross-sectional area and protein content of muscle fibers, which tends to be the type of hypertrophy that we get when we train isometrics. Another AKA for you, getting really strong despite your size. As we continue to hold the wall sit, muscle fiber capillarization intensifies, amplifying oxygen and nutrient delivery while enhancing the removal of metabolic byproducts, which is essentially going to prolong the muscular work capacity and heighten fatigue resistance. Now, before we go into adding load, I want to talk about breathing, because as you might have guessed, holding these contractions for X amount of time is really freaking difficult. And it's not at all like these short contractions that you see often on our channel so far, and our YouTube shorts with the 6-second contractions. This is entirely different, and there is a breathing technique involved. Let's go over it. If you've ever held a wall sit before, you know that that burn comes on relatively quickly, and so breathing technique tends to become a little bit more difficult when you're gasping for air and for dear life. So what you want to do is make sure that you are inhaling in through the nose and out through the mouth, nice and controlled. Even as it starts to get difficult, you still want to maintain that breathing.
Remember, oxygen is power, and the more oxygen we have, the more heightened our fatigue resistance is, as we just mentioned. AKA, the better our breathing technique is, the longer we're gonna be able to hold the wall sit, which is what we want at the end of the day. Now let's talk about more load on the wall sit. When we start to add more weight while doing a wall sit, we're giving our muscles a tougher challenge with each session. Another form of progressive overload. This gradual increase in weight is like turning up the intensity dial of our workout. As we hold the wall sit position with the added weight, our muscles have to work work harder to support our body. This is going to prompt our muscles to grow bigger and stronger over time. Think of it like lifting weights while you're holding the wall sit. Our muscles have to respond to the extra load by getting stronger and adapting to the new demands being placed on them. As you continue to add more weight, your body becomes better at handling the increased resistance. It's not only going to build muscular strength, but also boost muscular endurance and overall fitness. Personally, I found that the wall sit is absolutely amazing at increasing muscular endurance. The increased weight is also going to have our body burn more energy, which is going to contribute to burning fat and improving our metabolism. It's like challenging your body to use more fuel to keep up with the new demand. This combination of muscle growth, increased strength, and higher calorie burn is going to make adding more weight to our wall sit one of the smarter ways to push your fitness limits on this exercise. I always like to throw a little personal at the end of these. I love to do wall sits as a finisher. After I've done all the calisthenics, all the weightlifting, and I have like 10% left in the tank, that's when I do the wall sit, and I do it until I literally drop on the floor and I can't lift myself back up. I love doing yielding iso for that. How do you guys use wall sit in your programming? Go ahead and comment down below. Also, what's your longest wall sit? Go ahead and flex on them, flex on them. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to drop a like, go ahead and comment, and if you're not yet part of the squad, hit that subscribe button, come join the squad with us. See you next video. Peace.